February 17th, 1889. Sadism is as old as man itself. Somewhere along the line, while our monkey ancestors were scrambling up the rungs of the evolutionary ladder, it became adaptive, no, preferable, to delight in the pain of others. So no, I feel no shame in being the recipient of such a formidable, not to mention enjoyable, psychological gift. Nor has any member of my family, for that matter, not in all the years they drew breath, or robbed others of their own. It reflects a wonderful kind of efficiency, if you think about it. All that pain, all those agonizing screams, they would just go to waste without people like me, disappear into the ether like fumes into the sky. Yes, of course, I evoke the anguish, but such is the nature of all living things. For one to live, sometimes others must die. But hopefully not too fast. Dying is a regrettable side effect of experiencing so much pain. I would do away with death altogether, if nature permitted. June 12th, 1897. Something peculiar happened today. Something wonderfully peculiar. I was experimenting with one of my new methods on Miss Johansson today, a lovely woman who has delivered me hours of uninterrupted fun. And when she cried out, I noticed something different about it. Yes, stimulating the sciatic nerve directly with extreme heat is bound to summon a couple of unique wails. But once I began to remove Miss Johansson's fingernails, well, I could swear I heard something else in those screams. A voice. A terribly wonderful voice, speaking through the shriek somehow, speaking to me. I'm usually not one to give in to fanciful delusions, no matter how delectable they may seem. You see, in my line of work, it pays to be meticulous and careful. Falling prey to whimsy can quickly spell one's undoing. But this certainly merits further investigation. Sadly, poor Miss Johansson won't be joining me on the exciting journey she helped begin, as I'm afraid she has given all that she can give. I'll burn what's left of her in the crematorium tomorrow. June 15th, 1897. Oh, what a joyous, joyous day! I'm so excited I can barely write this, but I must, if for no other reason than to revisit these pages again and bask in their wonderful meaning. After days of trying, days of pain-stricken screams and endlessly red floors, I have done it. But I must calm myself. I have to record these moments just right, lest the words not paint as vivid a picture the next time I read them. It wasn't until I found the Brinkmeyers, a family I found living in the back alleys of London, that I was able to summon the voice again. I promised the whole bunch of them, a family of 6, a place to stay. The only catch was that they let me run a couple basic medical tests on them. It always amazes me how desperate poverty makes people. Of course, next thing they knew, they were strapped tight to a series of my steel tables, each family member directly adjacent to the other, so that they might see the twisting faces of those they love. Pain is as much psychological as it is physical, after all. Oh, how beautiful they looked, a fleshy circuit of interconnected anguish, where each one's wail set off the next, looping over and over, hour after hour. Their shrieks were nothing less than a symphony, a carefully orchestrated aria of fear, pain, and utter desperation. And I was its conductor, desperately hoping to evoke the response of a very particular audience. And I did. Through the cacophony of so many howling lungs came a voice crafted from the purest agony, a horrific yet oddly saccharine tone, steeped in a hurricane of blood-curdling screams. My God, to hear it, it brought me to my knees. It was a voice made from 1,000 screams, all calling my name. Oh, and what things it had to say, such wonderful things. It told me secrets of the most delicious and tantalizing kind. There is no time to waste, no time at all. I have new patients coming, and a new era of pain to let spill into this world. October 24th, 1899. I now sleep to songs of saws and rusty machines, lullabies for the sadist. For sadist is such a primitive estimation of what I am now, isn't it? I no longer seek pain for its mere enjoyment. I seek it for its sustenance, its oh-so-sweet flavor that dances along my taste buds at the faintest sense of another's discomfort. I haven't eaten real food in months, and yet I am fat with the spoils of torture. My palate has become a delicate aficionado of only the finest cuisines of pain, none that traditional techniques could ever tease out. No, these flavors can only be appreciated by those who have gone beyond the threshold to that magnificent sphere of screams where the scream-eaters, that's what I call them, dwell. It is they who have blessed me, they who have whispered to me the formulas of cruelty, they who have shared with me the great and terrible miracles of their prized pain engineering, the tortuaries. Where once there were walls of white, now there are rusted halls, rooms and pits, fitted with the most nightmarish of machines, vats of strange green acid housing scores of screaming visitors, red-hot iron maidens teeming with bizarre hooks and teeth, gigantic drills that burrow into the secreted spaces of man's most elusive pain centers. But the miracle of this feat of black engineering is not its capacity to kill, but its capacity to keep its victims alive. I have fed from those who should have died 100 times over, each time their pain more succulent than the last. September 29th, 1909. I think I have found a fitting protégé. Not only do I no longer have a capacity to feel pain, but I have a sense of those who find its infliction as enticing as I do. He's a rather portly young fellow, but his knack for conjuring screams is uncanny. He was a natural from the start. It took only a few months for the scream-eaters to introduce themselves, but when they did, the man didn't hesitate one bit, not one bit. Ever since, we've both delighted upon the screams of the infirmed. I dare say the young chap has gotten even fatter since he lost his taste for earthly foods. His gluttony applies to pain even more than it does pies. March 22nd, 1917. My understudy has finally journeyed out on his own, leaving me, yet again, to my own devices. It's a comforting feeling, really, as we both seem to be the solitary type. Besides, I've little tolerance for those who would attempt to pilfer my spoils, and Neiman, I'm afraid to say, was quite the glut. I let my most recent prisoner, Gregory, I believe his name is, escape yesterday. At least that's what I let him think. The pain is so much more agreeable when it's been spiced with hope. But it was the same hope that got me thinking about my own aspirations. I dream of one day entering that screaming abyss and seeing its many wonders. The angels of mercy, the infamous Isle of Fatted Calves, and the great Hall of Pain itself. Oh, how I would give anything to walk through the pastures of broken hope, or perhaps peruse the legendary libraries of agony with their burning books and flesh-seared pages. My goodness, how I dream of that day. I keep telling myself, someday, Theodore, someday. I hope that someday comes soon.